Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special Fireside Chat. This is the very second one that In Defense of Animals has offered so far, and we're delighted that this Fireside Chat will be on the topic of sustainable activism. And I will be your host and also one of your presenters. My name's Lisa Levinson. I'm the Campaigns Director for In Defense of Animals, and I also have helped to run and start the Sustainable Activism campaign and our support line. So it's my honor to be one of your hosts this evening. I'd like to take a moment and introduce my cohorts and co-hosts. We've got our Development Director, Bob Price. Hey, Bob.
Hi. How are you?
Thank you for joining today. So if people have any special questions, Bob may reach out to you during the chat. And also I have a co-presenter today, which I'm really thrilled to. I'll introduce you more fully to him a little bit later, but just for starters, here is Paul White. Just if you wanted to say hello, give your hand now.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Paul is a vegan therapist, so we're excited to have him on board, which will get into some questions and some nitty-gritty with everyone. So this is a nice opportunity for people to we'll do an informal presentation and then to actually have a conversation. So we set this up in a meeting format so that everyone could share. And of course, that's optional. You can share your video and you can unmute yourself. If you could do that a little bit later after the presentation, that would be perfect. And then, as I mentioned, we are recording this. We'd like to share the presentation with people who tune in to this meeting or people who missed the meeting, and also to our playlist for our Fireside Chats. So I think I will get it started. First mentioning that this is about sustainable activism, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. And this is something that our now president, Dr. Marilyn Kroplik, she years ago had this in her mind. She's such an innovator, and she had thought that it'd be great to support animal activists just in the way that other first responders were being supported and honored for their work on the front lines. And so she put together this wonderful program. I joined in and helped to collaborate with her on that. And the idea was to connect some of the concepts such as sacred activism and a type of nonviolent communication, and also really understanding the types of secondary trauma that activists were experiencing, and a new term that people now know much more about now, which is called compassion fatigue. And that's that overwhelm, the anxiety, the stress that we all know that comes from doing this type of noble work. We're caring for animals, and sometimes we struggle to care for ourselves, and then we can become depleted emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And so we started this sustainable activism campaign to really help people to feel better within themselves so that they could continue to help animals and be also a happy person too. So that's where we're going today. It really is about celebrating this wonderful lifestyle choice that we've all made to help others. So I think with that, I'm going to go forward with the little presentation. So bear with me as we do the share screen. That's another one of those technical pieces. So hopefully it will work. And let me see here. All right. To get to this desktop. Fantastic. So hopefully, let me go ahead and get the slideshow going, and we'll start at the very beginning. All right. Wonderful. Well, I hope everyone can see this all right. And so what we're doing here is we will be talking a little bit about, as I mentioned, about sustainable activism. And so what we're thinking of here has to do with self-care and also community care. And that is very, very important. So a little bit about that. So we've got for self-care, most of us might know about that because of the definition of it, has to do with taking care of ourselves. But community care is a little bit different. That has to do with caring for others in our community. So that might involve helping others who are struggling. It may involve checking in with people in the community. And so those are some things that we'll also try to talk about today too. So we'll go on to the next little slide here. So in terms of sustainable activism, why is self-care so essential for activists? Well, first of all, many of us know that it can be very overwhelming when we get lots and lots of requests. I get them on a regular basis. Even friends of mine will send me a little text and let me know, oh, there's this kitten, or there's this, puppy, or there's something I saw on TikTok, and these kinds of requests are continued. So that is one of the reasons why self-care is so important. And also, if you've recently joined us, please keep yourself on mute just for the time being. That would be very, very helpful. So there's that idea that it's overwhelming and that we might give too much of ourselves. And so part of it is to create boundaries and also to create a self-care plan. So what does that mean? The self-care plan could involve something as basic as sleep, or even carving out personal time for ourselves. Or maybe it's seeking financial help. It's first identifying what is it that we really need and what is it that we're not getting. Then I like to take that a step further and think of, what am I resisting? Maybe I'm resisting doing something I really love, or something that I think will bring me joy. Maybe it's scheduling dance or exercise or something that will really help me to enjoy the rest of my day. Once I've given a little something to myself, then I might be more open, willing, and gracious about giving to others, other people, other animals, and the world, if you think about it that way. And then also taking that time out, even putting it into your schedule, actually putting it right into your calendar there, that's your special time. And then asking for help. That is really key. It's so important. And it's something that we often forget. Sometimes I forget, oh yeah, I can ask for help. I can ask someone to support me in a project that I'm doing, or something that I know I'm either not going to have time for or struggle with completing. So part of that self-care plan includes outsmarting your inner saboteur. And many of us have this being within who tends to ask us questions that may not be in our best interests. They may say things such as, there's so many animals suffering out there, or how could you take that time for yourself when we know that an animal could be dying or being exploited or abused. So we have to really work with, you can think of it as outsmarting your inner saboteur, or it could be maybe becoming friends with, or making a bargain with, or somehow negotiating so that you get some time too. So writing out the self-care plan can really help if you include dates and times, different activities. Just put it right there on your calendar. And this image that you see is, I run these monthly groups. They're vegan spirituality groups. And here's one of our participants who did kind of either a mind map. We've done those, and we've also done the types of imagery that helps us to set our intentions for the year. And then you can check back in with people to report your progress, how you're doing. Maybe you have a friend or two who also is putting together their self-care plan, and you can check in with them. So that's really fun. So you can, if you're daring, you can take this self-care pledge. And here are a few things that you can do. You can contact the support line. So some of you may or may not know, we have an animal activist support line that's available 24/7. And you can call the number, which is 800-705-0425. And on the other end is one of our special counselors who can talk to you, or maybe you just need someone to listen, can provide resources, and even help you get set up with other types of support services. Another thing to do is to tell a friend what you're doing, to have someone to talk to, and you can also keep a journal. These are things that really help as you're going along your day, trying to take that special time for yourself and to notice how your progress is doing. So here's the number, and there's also a link. So if you go to idausa.org/activist support, that's where you'll get all the resources there to either click to chat with us, or you can find the number there. You can also do a text if you prefer that, and you'll get what we're calling free counseling. We don't offer therapy ourselves, but we do offer counseling and lots of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual resources. We actually have an activist resource list right there on our website, and that link is idausa.org/resources. And then we have a vegan therapist list. Now we have one online. We also have one that is from a group called the Ethical Vegan Therapists, and they are nationwide, and we're happy to share their resources with you too. And there's so many great, since this is really grown, this sustainable activist idea, and we have even a group called the Center for Effective Vegan Advocacy is really active in this. They have a sustainable activism program too. And then there are different vegan therapist lists. There's one called the Vegan Mental Health Collective, which is a new one that just popped up. So this is super exciting to hear that all of these resources are around. And we actually offer a support group. We started our support group in 2015 along with our support line way back then. And we have people who've been meeting for that many years. We have a really nice and healthy group of people who join in. So it's a wonderful opportunity to connect with us. And you can do that by going to this registration link, idausa.org/support groups. Let's see, it might be also if you are more into social media, perhaps you can check online. We have the Animal Activist Online Support Group, which is managed by one of our support line counselors. And it's a great place just to express your feelings, to receive support. And you can do that any time of day because it's online. And if you do suspect or think or know that you have compassion fatigue, and many of us do to some degree, you can use this link, which is where we compiled all sorts of great resources, videos and blogs and so much more, all about compassion fatigue and how to heal from or prevent it. So you can go to idausa.org/compassion fatigue, and you'll find everything there. And as far as retreats, so we have hosted many activist retreats over the years, and some of you might have joined us on those. And we will be doing a few more. We have a special announcement that will be coming up in our news soon, that we will have a location to do some more retreats. So please stay tuned for that. We've also collaborated with many other groups and organizations, such as at Unity Village, we co-hosted a retreat there with, there was the Spiritual Forum and now the Compassion Consortium. They lead a spiritual retreat each year there at Unity Village. And also Dharma Voices for Animals. They are running a activist, you call it a retreat, it's kind of a Dharma talk, and it's going to be, believe this Sunday. So if you look up Dharma Voices for Animals, you'll find out a little bit more about their resources. And a group that is a new member of our Interfaith Vegan Coalition, a Bhakti Marga, and they are a vegan monastery in the Ithaca, New York area. They will be doing an in-person retreat coming up this June, and specifically for animal activists. And last but not least, we've collaborated with a group, Alora Wellness, which is a vegan, organic, holistic healthcare center. And there are a few of these. One started in Los Angeles. There will be a new one popping up in France. And there will be a tour to Egypt, which is a vegan, bohemian vegan, off the beaten path tour for those who want to practice sustainable activism. You could think about it in style, or think about it as including a vacation as part of your self-care plan. So that may be important, to have some time away and to create that space where you can relax, rejuvenate, see new things, visit foreign places, and have fun. So all of these things are available to you. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. You can do that at lisa@idausa.org, or contact the support line. So I think that may be our last slide. Oh, one more, just to show you some wonderful images of some of our retreats. We've done retreats for women specifically. We've done retreats called activist healing retreats. They've been at sanctuaries, at the Jungle Friends Primate Sanctuary. We did one there. We've done them up in the area in New York. There's a couple of wonderful animal sanctuaries, and soon enough, we'll be doing them in the California area. So we'll stay tuned for more information about that. So I think this will bring this to a close, our presentation. And go ahead. Wonderful. So with that, I thought it might be nice to invite in our special guest. We've got Paul White, and he's here. As I mentioned, he's a vegan therapist. And I thought maybe he could take a few minutes to share a little bit about what he's doing, and also that we could maybe navigate some questions together. Hey, Paul.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, I've been vegan for 8 years now, 7, 8 years. Not long enough, but I know you understand that. But I'm certainly focused on helping like animal rights activists, and doing so through therapy. And so I've got a master's in psychology and a PhD in mind-body medicine. So my approach is very mind-body focused, somatic therapy, which is obviously some things that really affect us deeply, especially those of us on the front lines. And so I help process those things with people, and put together like a little workbook, little freebie workbook, kind of guidance on how to create that self-care that Lisa was talking about. Yeah, it all revolves around like finding community, finding meaning, spirituality, and creative self-expression, and like a host of other things. But so yeah, so I've also been a therapist for 8 years now, and I just really feel honored and privileged to work with this community. It wasn't until, honestly, it wasn't until like 7 years ago that I really understood what community meant. Pretty late in life, but thankfully I did experience that, and it was just a kind of a retreat at a Actually, honestly, it was when I started my PhD program. Finally found an incredible group of people who were uh, ones I could get closest to, that I could ever get closest to, and is really comfortable. And even they weren't all vegan, but that's okay. There's a handful of them that were especially close to me that I didn't learn until after the fact were vegan, and I'm still have a relationship with them to this day. It's very powerful and profound moment of deep connection, and ever since then, I've been trying to maintain connection to that. And certainly, the place I feel it the most is in just such a community like this. Yeah. So there we go.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. I was curious if you might share a little bit about why you think having a vegan therapist might make a difference.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I get that actually a lot, honestly, from other therapists. If I bring it up, had some interesting interactions with others. Like, why do they need a vegan therapist? Like, doesn't matter that you know. But the point is, the I think it's important because we're already surrounded by so many artists, and the last thing you want is not to feel like you can be in a safe place and bring up any topic that is uh, important to you. And even if, like a lot of the vegan clients that I work with now, generally don't bring up veganism, but they want to have that as an element, as a part, so they don't have to be concerned about like trying to convince the other person why this is good and feeling like they have to hold that themselves. Um, Definitely a very sensitive area. Uh, so we've got that kind of innate understanding and like a welcoming presence to bring that into the space with them, and then find it wholly meaningful. Yeah,
Great. Well, that is that is so important. I know I've talked to some people when I was on the support line myself, and they would say that they have spent a lot of time and energy working on their therapist, trying to convince them to become vegan, and how much of an effort it was. But I think that does change the therapeutic connection.
it
And like
does.
you're saying, you don't end up talking about it too much because it's just understood, and you actually don't need to talk about it as much in that same way.
And
Um,
that actually reminds me of despite whatever training your therapist might have, the greatest predictor of success in therapy is that therapeutic alliance. And if those if those values are misaligned anyway, especially the core values between the two of you, then there's going to, and sure, you can get through with that particular therapist if they're not like vegan or meet your some of your core values. That doesn't necessarily mean you won't succeed, but this one last piece, this one very last important piece, is one, like you said, Lisa said, it wasn't people trying to convince the therapist, and then uh, it just becomes something completely different. And at least with vegan therapists, we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, in a way, we think of, oh, going to a vegan potluck and what that's like, because then you don't have to ask what's in everything, and you just know it's a safe
And
place for
yeah,
you, and it might feel similarly. You feel kind of welcomed, and also maybe some of your deeper feelings can be welcomed as well. Like there's a lot of grief that we might experience that others do not, such as if one of our companion animals die, it is truly, considered like as a family member, and so that can be extremely painful. And going through that process, and even trying to make those life or death decisions, can be very overwhelming. And having a person who truly understands um, can be helpful. And that same kind of understanding can help with family dynamics too, understanding what's going on with families, and why or how deeply impacted we are by that sort of vegan bullying when it comes from one of our family members. So
yeah.
yeah. Well, I think what we could do is maybe open it up a little bit for some questions, and at this point, if anybody has any sorts of questions they'd like to put either in the chat box, or if you'd like to, you can unmute yourself and you can share your question directly. That might be kind of a nice way since we're all here together.
Hey, Lisa, great presentation. Thank you so much for your leadership and great resources. I loved IDA USA and loved that. I think there's another event which you host, the vegan activists. Isn't that like coming up last Thursday of the month, or?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Watch Dominion. One of the things that's happening this month, and one of the reasons why we're hosting the Fireside Chat today, is because this is Activist Appreciation Month. And so all month long, we've been hosting different programs specifically to help support your activism. So if you go to, and I'll put all these little vanity URLs in the chat box, the activist, idausa.org/activist month. And you'll find there the programs. We either have the replay links from our dialogue with We the Free, which is another group that focuses on providing support for activists. We also had a special retreat with Jillian Walters, who put together what she called a soulful activist retreat that involved some journaling, art, and more. And then coming up, just like you mentioned, Watch Dominion, we have Thomas Jackson, who's a producer-director, and he's going to be sharing the very first episode of his new docuseries, which is about animal activism. And it's called Compassion in Action, Bringing the Elixir Home. And that will be happening on Monday. So it's another one of these that folks can register for if they like. So please continue, Watch Dominion.
Oh, I just want to mention that a couple of events coming up. I know Oscars are coming up, and I think a couple of vegan documentaries, or people who are affiliated with vegans. I think the Avatar 2, the director, even though he is vegan friendly, he had some controversy, and a couple of other actors who are affiliated with veganism are in that space. So you can just use the buzzword or the trending of the Oscars. I think it's on March 7th or something. Like today, it was Drew Barrymore's birthday, so I was able to get traction, and she's vegan or supports animal cruelty products. So I was able to get the traction in social media using the Drew Barrymore hashtag. So I've been having some success promoting veganism out on social media using such big events. So check out some of the events, and do definitely join Vegan Toastmasters. We meet I think every other Sunday. So check out the link. I put it in Vegan Toastmasters. It's also a great way to learn how to communicate effectively, cogently, and vociferously with other vegan activists, and also with anybody who wants to listen to your message. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Watch Dominion. Really appreciate your efforts to keep us in the know about what's going on. We run a activist support group, and sometimes people join who can provide resources as well. So you're welcome to join that. That is coming up. Actually, it is tomorrow. So if anybody's interested, on the fourth Thursday of every month from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific time, that is when we gather together. And it's a pretty international group. We have people from Africa and from Australia and the United States and Canada who join. And you're welcome to share what's on your heart and what's on your mind. And we talk about things that are important to us as activists. So if anybody'd like to, ask a question or share something that's important to you today, you're welcome to do that. Maybe in the question. I noticed there was a question about this, the Allure Wellness Retreat that's going on in Egypt. Yes, that one will include yoga, meditation. It will be traveling to Cairo. There will be excursions to visit animal sanctuaries and also beautiful places. There will be some dancing. The whole program there is available on the website. So I'll go ahead and put that in the chat box. And anything that I don't get to put in the chat box, I will send with this replay. So after our fireside chat, everyone who registered will get a link, a whole page of links and other things that you can check out. Yay! I just want to say I'm just so thrilled to see the people who are here today. It really is so meaningful. And some of these people I've known for many years and are animal activists who I admire. So just want to do some shout outs to people. We've got Crystal Parks with Pachyderm Power. We've got Kate Lesenby, who's with the Mobilization for Animals, and Alicia Garlock, who's very active to save birds in her area in San Antonio. Just such a great group here. It's really, really profound. Karen Stamper with the National Goose Protection Coalition, who is helping swans and geese in her area. So we're talking about rock stars here. We've got the rock stars here all together, and a new star, Denise Katz, who's helped IDA with her artwork. And that's another way that people wonder, how can I help? How can I help with the skills and talents that I have? Well, Denise has created some wonderful portraits of animals that we use in our campaigns here at In Defense of Animals. So thank you, Denise. Yay. Yeah, and please, if you want to chime in or share a little bit about who you are, what you're doing, here's a question from Susan, who's found that it's hard to be happy in general anymore, knowing how bad it truly is out there for the animals and how to deal with that. Whoa, that is a big one.
That's a big one.
Yeah. I don't know, Paul, do you want to speak to that?
I did see the question pop up. I mean, definitely, first of all, absolutely, can be one of the most difficult aspects of just being alive and being aware of all these things. So I commend you for just being here, period. And this is one of the ways, honestly. But in the moment, it certainly can feel very heavy. And one of the things that I find most effective, above all the other things, like what Watch Dominion offered about watching silly things and making time for yourself, is finding 1, 2, or 3 different kinds of grounding practices that are meaningful for you, that help you feel connected, like either walking barefoot on the earth, maybe through a park in a safe place, or just like writing down, doing art can be pretty grounding. But one of the things that tops it off for me, as far as like the grounding exercises, is just play some very upbeat music. One of my go-tos is Mr. Blue Sky by the Electric Light Orchestra. And as soon as whatever it is you find, you're going to turn it on, and you're going to do, for the duration of the song, you're going to do, it's called like a shaking meditation. So bear with me. The camera might vibrate a little bit, but here it goes. So you got the song going, you just start doing this, then get really into it. There's no rhythm at all to it. You just kind of throw your body around, get in your body like that. And after the song ends, after a few moments, you're going to be vibrating. And that's kind of a patch, but it also, again, gets you back connected to your body and pulls you out of your mind for a little bit, because we can absolutely get weighed down by the thought of, I've got a couple of dairy farms just in my immediate area. I live in Maryland, by the way. And I can't help but drive by them just by necessity. The roads, there's no road that doesn't go near one. So even in those moments, I'll pass by, have some thoughts, and kind of get stuck in my head. And then I'm not necessarily going to get out of my car and start jumping around or anything, but but I'll like hold on to the steering wheel. I'll stop, of course, and just take a few breaths and get reconnected with myself. And again, whatever type of grounding exercise, engage with that and have fun. Absolutely. They would want us to, if they had that, and it brings us, re-energizes us for the next steps. And poetry is great. I do poetry therapy as well in my practice.
Yeah, that is wonderful. It's really important to, I like how you incorporate what you really enjoy, whether
Yeah.
it's the dancing aspect or the that poetry part. So that can be really, really helpful. So just checking out some of the things people have said here. Patricia McPherson is saying, speaking as an actor, acting outside in, faking, so to speak, the good, happy thoughts does help to really make it happen. And there's a lot of research on this. I was actually listening to a wonderful program on NPR, and it was focused on this idea of how do we bring in that happiness into our lives, and this was one of them. This was one of the top, was to start to behave this way, to whether it feels as though you're faking it, it's more about just acting as if it really is happening, trying to bring in that level of either joy or curiosity or awe or wonder. All of those things really, really help. So that might be something that can be a great use to someone here who's tuned in today. I love the idea of writing poetry. This is just great. A whole book of poetry. Wow. I'm not vegan, but my cousin is. That is so great. How excellent. Thank you so much, Vivian. I love that. And she has a website too, Vivian Chinelli. Please check that out. That's so great. And also Laura's saying here that community has saved her. That is important. That's why we talked about community care. It's so important to check in with one another, to help each other, to get together, even, and to cook together. That's so nice. Many times people will join into a protest. I experienced this myself, that people would join into this protest, and then afterwards everybody takes off into their own lives, but we don't really know that person too well. And even going out to have a meal together afterwards, a vegan meal, that can be a nice bonding experience. Sometimes people in my area will go hiking together because that's something that we can all enjoy and it relates to nature. So these are all wonderful things to do together. And community is so important, especially if you notice you haven't seen someone in a while, maybe checking in with them. I wonder if they're having struggles. Maybe they're financially struggling, maybe they're emotionally struggling, but finding a way just to become friends so that you can say hello, you can help. I know that's something I've been doing this year, is helping some of my friends who've had some troubles. And it really is, it's fulfilling, and it's also part of community care.
Lisa?
Yes.
It's Vivian.
Hi, Vivian.
Hi, Lisa. Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here. I just wanted to share what I do every day that makes me feel so good and just supports me in moving forward every day. And then I just want to, for a moment, to talk about a lunch I went to today with some friends. They went out of their way to find a place that I could have options, which is great. And then right in the middle of our eating, they started talking about this place in Century City in Los Angeles that's called Italy. And basically they've got hanging up cheese and dead bodies of animals. It's right in the middle of this, very chic place to go shop. And I realized I couldn't make it. I'd have to jump off a bridge if I couldn't compartmentalize my brain like that. And I just have to pretend that I don't care, during that meal. Otherwise I'd go off on them and then I'd be upset. And so I walked away, but I didn't say anything. And I find I have to do that sometimes. But what brings me great joy is every day I plan to go out for 2 hours on a walk. So walking is really great for my osteoporosis. But so I leave the house, I go walking, and when I see somebody, anybody who looks like they might care or even not care, I walk up to them and I just say, I try to make my outreach very simple. Excuse me, hey, do you happen to know any vegans or vegetarians? That's what I say. And if the answer is yes, then that's an opening for me to say, oh, this is so great. Would you mind sharing my website with them? If I didn't have a website, I'd find a website to share with them and say, would you mind sharing this XYZ website with them? I'm just trying to move the world in that direction. And the more vegans and vegetarians I can have to help me do it would be amazing. And the thing about that I've discovered, and I've used many lines to approach people, but the thing I discovered about that is I'm never talking about them, so they're not getting defensive. And 99% of the time they'll say, if they know somebody, of course, sure. And they'll say, could you pull out your phone? They take down my website. And then I tell them to scroll down on my homepage, and I direct them immediately to Gary Yourofsky's breathtaking speech. And if they're up for more conversation, if I find that they don't want to keep walking, then I'll start explaining who I am and why I became vegan. Are you interested? So it's always, I'm trying to start off now without asking them about themselves. And I just do that on my walk. So it's a 2-hour walk with an hour walk and about an hour of just talking to people. And I find that even if, no one's going to go vegan that moment, clearly, but just to be able to reach out to somebody, there are so many beautiful people out there who don't even know what veganism is at all. So if nothing else, you're enlightening them. If I say, you don't know anyone who's vegan? Do you know anything about veganism? And they'll say, not really. And then I'll say, well, could you go to my website? Or before you share it, would you? And my website is just links to all these other fabulous websites like your own. And anyway, that's what brings me great joy, is meeting other people and informing them and getting my exercise at the same time. And it can be a very simple outreach, just could you go to this website, learn about it. So thank you for letting me share that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you so much for sharing. These are great resources. And that's part of why we're having this chat, is to just invite people in to share what's on their hearts and what's on their minds, and to be a community together.
Yes, thank you so much for having this.
Yeah, of course. There's also, we've got Darla, who is sharing something something that inspires her, which is Philip Wollen's performance in the Earthlings debate, which was very inspirational. So yes, actually, Philip Wollen, he was the recipient, he and his partner, of the Homo Ahimsa Award, which is granted through the Interfaith Vegan Coalition every year. And he won that, and he actually created a special version of his classic speech that many people have heard, that is focused on the religions, which was very interesting to hear his take on that. So that can be inspiring, sometimes finding that. And I know another person wrote in here, just thinking of the successes that we've had in our animal rights movement. It's easy to dwell on the ones that haven't happened, or when we feel barraged by non-vegan messages out there. Just coming back to this idea of what are the leaps and bounds that we've made so far. And for those people who don't know, Claire Mann is a wonderful vegan psychologist who has so many great resources. And she wrote a book called Vistopia. And we've interviewed her as part of our Sustainable Activism webinar series. And her book is super helpful. It's one of those where you read it and go, yeah, that's me. I can relate to that. Coming up with this type of dystopia that we know as Vistopia, when the world feels upside down. And we have to know that we're the ones who are right side up, because there's this level of kindness and compassion that is our common ground. And when we have questions, at least for me, when I have questions, about what am I doing and feeling that kind of friction with others, I try to come back to that place of compassion. And that's what this kindness for animals and veganism is all about. So yeah, looks like we have maybe a couple new messages, maybe a couple new hands up. If either Watch Dominion or Vivian, I don't know if you still had something you wanted to share. No? Okay, no problem.
Thanks, Lisa. I put it in the chat. Moby's great new documentary came out, The Punk Rock Vegan, and it's on YouTube, free, available free on YouTube and other social media platform. But the great opportunity is on YouTube. If you go, you can just chat on YouTube in the comments, and it's a great way to A, be active in the comfort of your own home, and B, is to pull the algorithm so that more people come to that documentary. So The Punk Rock Vegan is a great documentary to watch, very educational. And also another documentary came out, The Maka Doodh, or Mother's Milk. I put the link in the chat. Same thing, it's available free on YouTube. So do engage with the folks on the chat at YouTube. So great way to be active and still do good without leaving the comfort of your home. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was wondering, Tammy, would you like to share? You can unmute and share. You can, if you're welcome to share your beautiful face as well. Hi, Tammy.
You. I have quite a few practices that I wish I did very, very regularly. But the one thing I do pretty regularly for self-care that I find is the quickest thing, other than, what Paul had said about doing that. I do that kindergarten qigong where I just shake for a minute. That really helps. It's, gets the nervous system reset like animals do when they're in fight or flight. They don't just freeze like humans do. They shake it out. But I cold plunge. I do ice plunges, and I'm, up to about 5-6 minutes, but it's the quickest way. And I've been doing it since I was young. When I was young, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just remembered, leaving a little bit of chaos in my home and going out and swimming in a freezing cold lake in Northern Ontario. And I just remembered everything felt okay, and then I started researching it quite a bit through the years and found out they used it in institutions to help calm patients down before pharmacology kind of took over the world. And then it's incredible. There's kind of nothing like it to reset the nervous system. So I'd invite you all even to, I find cold showers painful, but I can get used to laying in cold water. So even if for me, I have a barrel outside, I live in Canada. I just break the ice in the morning, but for other people, maybe a cold bath, even every couple of days. It's quite amazing, actually. Thank you for letting me share.
Yes, wow, that's very impressive. I'll have to work my way up to that one. But I think it just brings you into a new place because it engages all of your senses in that way. So thank you, Tammy, for sharing that. That's great. Does anyone else have a practice that they'd like to share?
A moment, really quick. I want to let everyone know I have to leave in just like another minute.
Sure.
I'm sandwiched between clients, and I wanted to make sure this was happening. So I just didn't want to disappear. I did put my website in the chat. I didn't really hyperlink, but I don't know what I did wrong. But it's holisticvegantherapy.com. It's pretty simple. Just want to let everyone know about that. And this has actually been quite a lovely experience. And you're seeing all the faces and smiles amidst the chaos and the fear that I'm trying to mitigate.
Thank you so much. Wow, Paul, we're just delighted that you could join us. It's one thing to talk about these vegan therapists out there, but to have one join us, this is great. You're a real person, and people can reach out to you if they like some help or want to connect and learn some more resources and more strategies. So thank you.
And since you mentioned the compassion fatigue as part of tonight, I've got my blogs are like really short, 2-3 minute read maybe. Tomorrow I've got one coming that's about compassion fatigue and some steps. Yeah, so we'll be posted in the morning.
Perfect. Paul, when you do that, can you send it to me and I'll include it in the resources
Oh, okay,
I send
sure.
to everybody here today.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Lara, did you want to share something with us?
Yeah, hi. So I'm not from the US. I'm from Colombia. I do live in the US, but I just wanted to say that I shared the information of a friend of mine who lives in Georgia in the country, and she's starting her sanctuary there. So if you want to check out a document she has uploaded to tell us about it. And there is also, in my country, there are also amazing groups. So if anyone here speaks Spanish and is interested in knowing about that, just message me. And also consider donating to sanctuaries in places like Latin America, that they start with very little, and our dollars can mean like $2 here can mean a lot there. So and many of them have ways for receiving donations from the US. So I just wanted to put out there that there's like amazing work being done in the global south as well. And I really like this space. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I mean, this is so important that we all know what's going on. And this also uplifts all of our activism, no matter where you are in the world, to know that there are these sanctuaries popping up. We were fortunate enough to be able to support a sanctuary in the Ukraine that started up that was providing some of these sustainable activism resources for people in their area. So we thought, what a great match. And it's wonderful, because if this continues, we are really experiencing a shift in consciousness. That is what's happening. It's really a vegan paradigm shift, as my friend Charlotte Cressy says. And that's what we're part of, each one of us. So even though we have those down days, overall, we're part of a general uplift. I was thinking of the right word, when the mountains uplift, and it's, it's plate tectonics in action. That's part of what we're doing here. We're really shifting the plates around and inviting in new concepts, new ways of being, and new options for people. So thanks to each and every one of you. That's what you are. You're one of the important plates in the shifting plate tectonics of the earth and all of the earth's inhabitants. It's wonderful. Yeah. So just curious, we're kind of coming towards the end of our gathering today, of our chat, just seeing if there's anyone else who has something they maybe were keeping quiet and wanted to share but haven't had a chance. You're welcome to do that or put it in the chat box. Anybody who's has something they'd like to say, you can unmute if you'd like. I just want to take also a moment to thank, we have Mary Essency here, who is with In Defense of Animals. She's on our development team and has joined us. So it's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. And we have people who've joined into our sustainable activism programs. And I want to thank each of you for joining today. This is really special. And it's because of all of the activists who join us on a regular basis that we can come up with these programs and offer them. And we are so open to any ideas that you have. If there's something you've always wanted and wondered, why doesn't this exist? Please let us know. We're happy to try to come up with some new resources. And also, it is good to see one another. I think that's important, to know that we're all here together in this gathering, and some people who may live near and others who live far. But it is really important to know that we're all part of this. We're all together. So that's very, very helpful. Everybody working on their own individual campaigns, but then we come together. And we all need support, no matter what campaign we're working on. So many things happen, frustrations, things that may not work right, on a daily basis. Maybe the graphics aren't coming up the way we want them to. We might have little hurdles along the way to jump over, but in the end, we are collectively, we are moving forward in this race to save the planet. We are doing it together, and so it's all of us together. And I want to thank each of you. And as I mentioned, I'm just delighted to see so many faces of people from recent times and times gone by. Mary Lombardi also, thank you for joining us. So I think we're coming a little bit towards the end here. I want to encourage everyone to stay connected, to tune into the resources that you've seen in the chat box. When you get the replay, you'll have the chat. That will be there for you too. And I will also send, along with the link to this Fireside Chat on our playlist, I'll send you resources. So if anybody has any resources they want to include in that list, go ahead and you can email it to me at lisa@idausa.org, and I'll include it in the list of resources and things I see in the chat. And also, stay connected to us. You can join our programs. You can tune into some of the Activist Appreciation Month offerings, and just know that anytime, we're really like a phone call away. You can call our support line and talk to someone who cares. And so I think that's the overall message here, is to know that we care, that we all care about one another, and that we're really here together. We're not, we might feel alone many times, but we're actually part of a big, almost like a force field of love. And so we're putting love in action for all life. That's what we're doing together. So, thank you to each one of you for making that choice in your life, and for being here for the animals, and being here for each other, for being part of In Defense of Animals as well, and for everything that you do each and every day to make this world a better place. Well, thanks to everyone. And we'll have another Fireside Chat in March, and stay tuned for we'll be featuring another one of our campaigners, and we'll do this each month, so you'll get a chance to get to know us a little better. This was one of my months, so I feel very privileged to get to know all of you a little bit more. But each month we'll have someone who has an opportunity to share, and you may also see me, and you may see Bob, because we're helping to coordinate all the chats. So we hope that this was a warm and cozy fireside chat for everyone, and we hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everyone. Feel free to unmute yourselves.
Thank you so much. Namaste. Namaste, vegan.
Thank you. Namaste, vegan. Such a pleasure to see everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Everyone.
Good night. Thanks.
Bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Love to everyone.
Aw, love to all. Good night.
Night.